Hello and welcome to Attention Central Texas. I'm your host for today, Charles Jenkins, and today we have an exciting show for you. We have a special guest in the studio today, the head coach of the University of Mayor Hardin-Baylor Crusaders, Coach Pete Fredenberg. Hello and welcome to today's show.
Hi, how are you, Skeeta? Good to see you. Thanks.
Coach, it's good to have you on the show, but let's just jump right into the questions. First, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. I'm married. I've got 3 children, and let me think how many grandchildren. I've got 6 grandchildren now. I have been married to the same woman for 41 years.
All right.
Yeah, she's a professor at Baylor University, and when we came to Belton, she went back to that job. We had been in Louisiana for 3 years, so I have been coaching now for 38, 39 years. I'm not quite sure. But
right.
I started in high school and then coached at Baylor University for 13 years, and then went to Louisiana for 3 years, coached at LSU and Louisiana Tech, and then took this job in 1997 and been at Belton ever since.
Crusaders. What, Coach, in bringing all your coaching experience to the Crusaders, let's talk about the success you've been having with the program since '97 to now. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think that as we came to organize the program and started, our first season was in 1998. The thing that you really look at as you start to venture into something like building a new program is kind of, you really want to base it on some fundamental values. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I thought that was the most special thing was that, and the thing that I remember from all of my coaching experience is certainly you can remember some wins and some great wins and then also some devastating losses. But the thing that I cherished the most was the relationships, relationships with players and relationships with the other coaches. And so with that thought in mind, that's kind of what we set out to do, is we brought a bunch of guys into play, but the thing that is the overriding theme with all of it is to develop relationships with each other and develop an atmosphere that would be conducive to building those relationships. So it's very important that all of our guys get to know each other and get to care about each other. So I ask them to always be a guy that cares about other people, that wants to be the very best football player that they can be, and somebody that can be ultimately trusted on and off the field.
It's interesting you say that about relationships, because when the Savior walked this earth, he was all about relationships. And I think from playing at UMHB, I think that is one of the things, and I still come back to the games and see that now. But this past weekend, Hardin-Simmons came into town, and they left out of town a little unhappy. Tell us a little bit about, that.
Hardin-Simmons had started out like gangbusters. They played a team in California, Whitworth, and beat them, and then they beat Willamette. Willamette came to Abilene. They're from out of Oregon, and they were ranked real high, and Hardin-Simmons beat them and beat them pretty handily. And they had gotten their senior quarterback back. He had been injured last year, so he took a hardship and was able to return. So they had garnered up quite a bit of enthusiasm, and then they played Mississippi College, who was an outstanding team last year that had gotten into the playoffs last year. And Hardin-Simmons beat Mississippi College. While that was going on, we were actually struggling with Wisconsin lacrosse. We had spotted them 19 points and came back and beat them 24-19, but we had struggled some. And then we'd played McMurray the second week, and in the same kind of deal, we won, and thank goodness we did, but we had to really do some things in the special teams to be successful. So there were some questions of how we were going to match up, and obviously Hardin-Simmons felt pretty good about their chances, and then our guys really took a huge step. I think that they made a giant move and proved that they're really going to be a strong contender again.
What do you attribute that to? Because I know you probably had some little butterflies going in your stomach.
Sure.
Like, what in the world? What do you attribute the success of the team to?
Well, again, I think that it all goes back to the same thing that when we initiated the program in its onset, is that people that are devoted to each other and that want to play in for and with each other. And our guys, I just felt a strong urge to do that, and especially the emotion and the passion that you experience in a ball game like Hardin-Simmons, and they just took a giant step. So I think that, you know, and the success that we've had, it kind of allows us to realize that we're going to play every team and get their best effort.
Yeah.
So if we're going to achieve the goals we want to achieve, we're going to have to be resilient and be able to play at a big pace every time we go on the field.
Do you love being in the Central Texas area?
I love Central Texas, and you know, I was raised not far from here, and so when we had the opportunity to come back to Central Texas, I just jumped at the chance, even though we knew there was going to be a tall task to build the program. But what's happened in Belton, in the community itself, and the Mary Hardin-Baylor community, it's just been an incredible experience and so much fun. And I love that school, and I love our football program, and obviously Karen and I are thrilled to be there. We built a house out on the lake, so this is our home.
You know, the most amazing thing I've seen was the football team started winning and winning, and now it's just permeating. The basketball team has been winning. The soccer teams have been winning. Tennis have been winning. Is it amazing to be on the campus where all of that is taking place?
Yeah, and everything is done. And you know, Ben Shipp, our athletic director, he's got to be smiling every time that all of those things happen, because he's done a great job of putting it together. And our administration, you know, you can't do anything without the support of the administration and the people that are going to support your programs. And they do it in a very gracious and a first-class way, and that obviously allows us to attract good students and good athletes to come to our campus, and when they get there, they fall in love with it. And Mary Hardin-Baylor's just getting better and better every year. I had an interesting visitor yesterday who came, Sterling Stewart. You remember Sterling, and Sterling hadn't been on campus in like 8 years. He was just amazed how the campus had changed. And so it always gives you a lot of, you feel good about what's happened and how the program has helped a small piece in the university's giant picture.
What are some of the things the players that leave, come back, have been saying about the program?
Well, it means an awful lot to them, you know, and I just think that the camaraderie and it's a lifelong experience, because the guys that play together, you know, that one of the most rewarding things for me is to go to guys' weddings or when they're in whether they have children or whatever, and see so many of our ex-players around them. You know, a lot of our weddings we go to, all the groomsmen are ex-players, and so it's really cool. And then essentially my son got married this summer, and he had about 5 or 6 ex-players, and 2 of my coaches were in his wedding party, so that was fun.
How does your coaches feel about being a part of the crew?
Well, I think pretty good. They've been with us a long time, so hopefully they will continue. They're outstanding young men that are good Christian men that really care about the players, and and they obviously are involved with the atmosphere that we try to keep our youngsters playing under, and so they like it, and the work ethic. I mean, we work really hard, but it's been very rewarding for all of us.
I want to talk about the physical side of UMHB, because I notice from watching the games, every team in the conference, some of them pass more than some, but I think UMHB is the most physical team. What is so important to you about the team just being physical with people?
Well, you know, all of my history has been from the defensive perspective, and there's nothing more demoralizing to a defensive coach or a defensive team than a team that can run on the defense, and you can't stop them. I mean, I've played great passing teams, but nothing was more demoralizing when you just couldn't physically stop somebody from running the ball on you. And so that parlayed into my philosophy on offense and defense, is that I think the ball game, football, is still a contact sport, and I think you've got to be physical. And so it helps us both on both sides of the ball. And obviously, when we compete against each other, offense versus defense, there's some physicality involved, and so that's what we carry over on to Saturdays.
Looking at the newspapers on Sundays after the Crusaders play, when they interview the quarterbacks, they talk about the defense, how fast they are. What do you just have them fly around at practice every day?
Well, we try to. We try to get them. We want them to work hard in practice and have fun playing the games. But our whole deal is to get guys that can run, and everything's based on speed. So every position, we can take a corner and move him to a safety, and a safety to a linebacker to an end, and it's all predicated on their speed.
Let's talk a little bit about we have about 2.5 minutes left. Let's talk about that couch crew. Man, they were out in numbers.
It was the most incredible experience that we've ever had since we've been involved in the program. But when we were met at the buses, as we got off and we're going into our dressing room, we could hardly get to the dressing room for the number of people there. It was awesome. And there's nothing more rewarding, and I'm sure all the decision makers that instituted football and decided they were going to develop a program at Mary Hardin-Baylor, I'm sure they were smiling, because when you get the student involved like they were in such an enthusiastic and passionate way, that's really special. And so there's nothing more rewarding for me than to see our student body and the community support our football team.
You know, one of the most amazing things after the game was when the players turned to the couch crew and they all met in the middle. I think that was amazing. What are the players, the new players, have been said about the couch crew?
Well, they love them. They love them. You know, the couch crew are just the guys that they're so enthusiastic, and they just, a lot of them now have followed us everywhere. We look up in Wisconsin a few years ago, and it's 6 degrees with a frozen field in Whitewater, Wisconsin, and there's a bunch of couch crew guys there. How they got there, I don't know, but it's amazing that to see it, and it means an awful lot to our players.
Well, Coach, that's, our time is wrapping up for the day, but I want to personally thank you for being on the show today, and I just want to thank you as an ex-player of yours, and just seeing the way you went with the team and your leadership. I really admire that about you. And just thank you for being on the show, and go Crew. And thank you, our viewers, for tuning in to Attention Central Texas.